Have you ever watched an anime and thought, that looks familiar? Well, I have, multiple times, and not just with multiple shows either. There was one show in particular that constantly had me turning into the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai is a show that I really enjoy, but it isn't the most original series out there. You can tell that the author, Hajime Kamoshida, is a big fan of anime, other light novels, and also visual novels as well. So he puts a lot of references of things that he likes into Rascal. This isn't a bad thing by any means, but I still think it is important to point all these moments out, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing in this video. Also, spoilers for Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. I'm sure everyone in the audience is familiar with media referencing other media, because it happens all the time with TV shows and movies. In fact, there are some movies that get referenced all the time. Two of these are Groundhog Day and Freaky Friday, and it makes sense why these two would get spoofed and parodied all the time. Time loops and body swapping are very simple ideas and are mainstays of science fiction. So when I saw that the second novel, Rascal Does Not Dream of Petite Devil Kohai, and the fourth novel, Rascal Does Not Dream of Siscon Idol, dealt with time loops and body swapping respectively, I couldn't help but compare them to these movies. Now, I'm not 100% certain that these two movies are being referenced, but since my American brain is used to seeing it all the time, I'm going to just assume that the effects these movies had on pop culture was big enough to reach Japan. But devbrevyt, that's not copying. Hell, you're not even sure it's a reference. Can't they just be coincidences? Yes, they could be, and most likely are. But if we're going to talk about the show not being original, it's important to point out things that it has in common with other media, whether it be intentional or not. Plus, I have way more evidence to support my claim, because Rascal has some plot points that are very similar to not just one anime, but one entire company. Key is a name that you might have heard thrown around from time to time. They are a visual novel studio that has made several cult classic visual novels that got turned into stellar anime, like Clannad, Canon, and Angel Beats. I wonder if there is a significance to me naming these specific ones. Their stories are known for having gripping emotional moments and some supernatural elements. The same can also be said for Rascal. And the similarities don't end there, because there are several plot beats in Rascal that seem to be inspired by or references to several key games. First, we'll contemplate the main girl, Mai Sakurajima, and what she is dealing with in the first couple episodes of the show. She is disappearing from reality because she is a child actress who is now out of the spotlight. Her physically disappearing is a metaphor for her being forgotten by the public, and the story also ties it into Schrödinger's cat by saying that if you perceive her, you will continue to see her. Everyone at school can see Mai because she is there every day, until one night after everyone goes to sleep and they forget about her. Except for Sakura, who didn't go to sleep. But if he does go to sleep, then he will forget about her for sure. This is a great plot, and it makes anyone who watches it cry. You know what else makes everyone cry? Clannad. Spoilers for Clannad. In Clannad, there is a character known as Fuko Ibiki. Ibiki is handing out hand-carved stars.
They're starfish.
Starfish, to everyone at school as invitations because her sister is getting married. But it turns out that Ibiki is actually in a coma, and the one that Okazaki and Nagisa have been hanging out with is an astral projection or something that can only be seen by people at school until only the main two are able to see her. But that all changes one night when they fall asleep, causing them to not remember her. Wait a minute. These two stories are so similar. Heck, the scenes with Mai's mother and Ibiki's sister, where we find out that both of them can't see their respective family members, have the same effect. Now, these two stories don't end the same, and they aren't exactly one-to-one, but having a character that is slowly disappearing, and the thing that makes the main character forget is going to sleep, you gotta admit, Hajime had to have known. But of course, that isn't the only anime made by Key that the author has seen, because now it is time to talk about Shoko Makinohara. Shoko is Sakura's first crush. She was the girl who gave him advice when he was sad over his sister Kaede being in the hospital. When they first met, Sakura was in middle school and Shoko was in high school. Sakura decided to go to the same high school as Shoko in order to follow his love. But when he gets to the school, he finds that there are no students there with the name Shoko Makinohara. But later, after Sakura and Mai start going out, Sakura runs into a young girl who looks suspiciously like the girl he met years ago. And her name is Shoko Makinohara. But this girl is in middle school, and the Shoko he met should be in college by now. How is this girl younger than when he met her 2 years ago? This is the setup for the big mystery surrounding Shoko, and Shoko's a big element of the series, so this is super important. But I've seen this done once before, in canon. Spoilers for canon. In canon, our main boy Yuichi is visiting his cousin in a small snowy town that he used to visit a lot when he was younger. On this recent visit, he runs into a girl who is seemingly lost. Her name is Makoto Sawatari, and she doesn't remember much other than her name. Makoto ends up staying with Yuichi and his family, but Yuichi can't shake the fact that he has heard the name Makoto Sawatari before. Indeed, he has, because when he was younger, there was an older girl he used to hang out with called Makoto Sawatari. But hold on, this Makoto is the same age as the Makoto he met when he was younger. How could Makoto not age at all? It's the same thing. Yes, the reason for them being different ages than they should be are vastly different, with one being from the future and the other being a fox, but the main idea in mystery is the same. Now, I'm gonna cut the author some slack for the reason being different, but this isn't the only thing about Shoko that is borrowed from something else. And what do you know? It's another anime made by Key. The younger Shoko has a heart condition, and it has gotten worse. But Sakura realizes that the older Shoko is from the future because older Shoko has a scar on her chest. That means that younger Shoko got a transplant. Cool. What's the problem? I thought the series was supposed to make me cry. Well, the problem comes from who Shoko gets the transplant from. You see, Sakura has these claw marks on his chest, and he believes they are from when Kaede went to the hospital because that was the day they showed up. But now, Kaede is fine, yet his scar started hurting again. He wonders why this is happening until he realizes that every time his scar starts hurting, Shoko always shows up. And then Shoko confirms that the heart that she got from the transplant belongs to him, and God damn it, it's the plot of Angel Beats! Spoilers for Angel Beats. In Angel Beats, our main character, Otonashi, finds himself in a purgatory-like afterlife where kids are supposed to come to grips with their awful childhoods. There, he meets a girl named Kanade Tachibana. Otonashi develops feelings for this girl and decides at the end that instead of passing on to whatever afterlife comes next, he wants to stay in limbo with her forever. But he then finds out that she has his heart and that she has always loved him because his heart allowed her to live a little bit more. This is so similar to Rascal. Hell. There's a scene in this series where Sakura is established to be an organ donor, and the second this scene happened, I knew exactly where it was going, because that is how the ending of Angel Beats is foreshadowed. If a different series is spoiling your ending, I think you might have a problem. A lot of the plot in Rascal seems to be borrowed from other things, but this isn't the only part that appears to have borrowed elements. The overall structure and even a few characters seem to have outside influence from one particular series. Monogatari. Spoilers for Monogatari. Monogatari is a light novel series where each book focuses on a different girl and each book is named something different. The main character is Araragi, who notices something suspicious about the main girl Hitagi Senjukuhara. Araragi gets advice from Oshio, which allows him to help Senjukuhara out with her problem. After this, the two start dating. As the series goes on, more characters are introduced, and Araragi helps them out with their respective problems by getting more advice from Oshio. Now, I'm going to do an exercise where I'm going to say that exact paragraph one more time, but I'm going to replace all the names with names of Rascal characters. And you go ahead and stop me when I say something incorrect. Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai is a light novel series where each book focuses on a different girl, and each book is named something different. The main character is Sakura, who notices something suspicious about the main girl, Mai Sakurajima. Sakura gets advice from Futaba, which allows him to help Mai out with her problem. After this, the two start dating. As the series goes on, more characters are introduced, and Sakura helps them out with their respective problems by getting more advice from Futaba. I noticed you didn't stop me. So what the f***? Now, there are a ton of key differences between the plots of these two shows. One of them deals with supernatural elements and Japanese puns to deal with all the problems, and the other grounds itself in quantum physics. But you can definitely tell that the structure of Rascal was borrowed from Monogatari, because this can't be a coincidence. And it isn't just the basic premise that is similar either, because Mai and Sakura are written very similarly and have a very similar relationship to Senjugahara and Araragi. Araragi is very cheeky and makes a lot of sarcastic comments, but he is very kind-hearted and is also willing to help others. The dude messes with time travel just to save a girl he met as a ghost. He also loves his sisters, albeit a little too much sometimes. All of these make Araragi more than your average protagonist. He isn't bland, but he isn't a total asshole either. This helps elevate the series as a whole and makes it something worth watching, especially his interactions with Senjugahara. The two have a great dynamic, and it's fun to watch the two of them banter back and forth. But since they are so sarcastic to each other, most of the time it makes the cute scenes between them really special. Now take everything I just said about Araragi and apply it to Sakura. Sakura is also very sarcastic to the girls in the series. He is the titular Rascal after all. Sakura is also really nice and messes with time travel too, although the circumstances are a little different for him. And my favorite part of Bunny Girl Senpai is Sakura's relationship with Mai. Their banter is really fun to watch. Mai constantly teases Sakura, but Sakura seems to be ahead sometimes and can tease right back. And the romantic scenes between them make my heart soar. Hell, Sakura's confession is easily a top 3 confession for me. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Sakura's sister, who he also cares for a lot. Now, I use some broad strokes to describe these two characters. Sakura is a lot drier than Araragi, and Araragi is a lot more perverted in some cases, but you gotta admit, these two do have a striking resemblance to each other, especially when it comes to their relationship with their respective main girls, who are also similar. I always group Mai and Senjugahara together in my head and in videos. I cannot mention one without mentioning the other. This is because of how similar they are. I classified both of them as Hyakusudere in my dairy types video. This term is also referred to as the tease-dere because of the teasing nature that these characters have. Both of them have a mature feel to them, and they constantly tease their male counterpart. But both are fragile on the inside because of past trauma revolving around their family. So when the main boy helps them resolve their issue, whether it be disappearing-based or crab-based, they are quick to fall in love with him. And you see that love as the series goes on, with Senjugahara willing to bargain with the man who scammed her mom, and Mai risking her life to save the boy that they love. Mai and Senjugahara are definitely more similar to each other than Araragi and Sakura are similar to each other. I know that I listed a lot of things that Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai shares with other anime, but what does it all mean? Well, I know that the thumbnail for this video had plagiarism written on it, but that was just a bit of clickbait on my part. I learned it from the Rascal anime. I do not believe that Hajime Kamoshida plagiarized anything. I think this is either coincidence or basic
inspiration.
Heck, I have borrowed plenty of things from other YouTubers for my videos. And they do say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. But I will say that if you haven't seen anything that I cited in this video, you might want to go check it out because you might get something out of it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Please don't be too mad at me. And with that, sayonara.